Hello everybody, it's Italian. Basically, I wanted to make this video yesterday already, but I realized that it was too early. I had received some news that really hit me hard, and I wanted to talk about this, but I just couldn't figure out yet what to say and what to bring across, whatever. And so I basically took the night off and did some thinking, and well, now I'm sitting here. It's the next evening, Thursday evening, and I want to try this. And I will start with something that I haven't done in a while. I want to lit a candle for someone, because I learned of the death of a person yesterday who died actually a few days early already, on January 10th, if my informations are correct. And the name of this man who died is Jacobsen. He took his own life, and yeah, to understand what had happened, you have to know that Jacobsen and his wife had a son, Cameron, and Cameron took his life 1 year earlier, in January 2011. Kevin was 14 years old, and he had been the victim of massive bullying in school as well as online. Cyber bullies and real world bullies kinda teamed up to make his life miserable and make his life hell, and so one day he just couldn't take it anymore and he took his life. And his parents, heartbroken and devastated as they were, decided that they wanted to make a difference, and they started a organization called Kindness Above Malice. KAM is the abbreviation. Don't worry, you will find all the links of the things that I talk about in the description box as usual. I would highly appreciate it if you would check out these sites and maybe even do something. Get active yourself and get involved, because bullying is a topic where basically no one can just stand aside and say it doesn't affect him or her, because in the end it does. So Mr. Jacobsen and his wife founded this organization, as I told you, and they were doing educational work about bullying, about how to prevent bullying, what to do about bullying, and their overall motto, their overall motivation, and what they wanted to bring across was that not fighting back and using the strategies of bullies is the way out of such a situation, but using kindness as a tool. Put kindness above malice, indeed. Give an example that you don't take an eye for an eye, you know. And this indeed is a concept that I think is the right one, because violence against violence will always just double the damage, and fire against fire, you know, this works in some situations, but in the end you will have the double amount of destruction. And so this is not the real way out. Oh, I'm sorry. Not the real way out from this, yeah, this terrible thing that we are experiencing, and that has been there all the time, and nowadays is in the focus a little more. Media attention, newscasts, and discussions and interviews, new laws being introduced, and Kindness Above Malice has been a part of this process for the last year. And I really highly appreciate and highly value such organizations, because these are people who lose someone to bullying. They lose a child, which basically is the most tragic and the most terrible thing that any parent can experience. And even if you are not a parent, if you don't have children of your own, like I do, you just have to put yourself into the shoes of parents who lost a child for a few minutes. Actually think it through and try to feel it through, and then you will start to know what hell on earth this is. So these two people, Mr. and Mrs. Jacobsen, they were trying to make a difference, and they sure did, with Kindness Above Malice. They were part of educational campaigns, and they run a website, and they speak out against bullying and about their own experience and what had happened to Cameron. And they have been keeping this up all of the year, and did great work with that. And now the anniversary of Cameron's death, the first anniversary, is coming up, and I can only surmise that it finally became too much for Mr. Jacobsen, and dealing with the death of your son and trying to make a difference the best you can by working against what killed your son. Cameron took his own life, but he did not do so because he wanted to. He did so because he didn't see any way out anymore, and this happened because bullies ruined his life every day. And so the Jacobsens tried to do something against this, and Mr. Jacobsen obviously suffered so much, and I can understand him all too well, that finally he now came to a point where he just couldn't take it anymore. I do not want to interpret too much here, because the information is very superficial, and it had been given out by the website itself, but they are not going into details, and God forbid they don't have to. It's so terrible what happened, and within 1 year, first losing their son, and now losing the father to utter desperation, basically, that has been caused by what other people did to Cameron, and by the grief that then was there in the parents. So, well, now we lost someone who did a lot of good by the organization that he founded, and I can only hope that his wife and his children will somehow find a way to cope with what happened. I don't have any smart idea or thoughts whatsoever that I could present here. Sometimes it's also speechlessness that you have to share about something that is so terrible and so outrageous and so devastating that there are just no words to really wrap around this and draw some conclusion from it, and draw some perspective where you will go from here. I was sitting there last night, and I did not know what to do, what to say. I was terribly sad. I didn't know Mr. Jacobsen myself. We have been exchanging messages or tweets on Twitter once in a while, because I follow their Twitter account, and I liked their Facebook page, and I have been following their web page too. And so basically, I guess I have been in touch with him or with his wife once, twice, well, a handful of times. This is it. And I know what they have been doing. So you might say, why do you care so much? I think I have a smart answer on that, because a life is lost. Because someone just didn't know how to deal with the pain and the grief that came into his life like a tsunami. And yeah, it's terrible that these things happen, just so you know. Okay, this was maybe not the best sentence that I have ever said, but you know, these things keep happening. I have made a video in October 2010. I've made 2 videos back then, when the suicide series was being reported about in the media of 4 gay teenagers in the United States who had committed suicide because they were being bullied for being gay, or for being because people said they were gay. Running out of words here. And so I made these 2 videos, and the one video which features Ellen DeGeneres, please don't sue me, is getting so many views every month. I should be proud about this, and well, I'm not, because it's a terrible topic, and I am glad that people watch it, and I'm glad that people get the message. And yet there is also hate and contempt out there, and I can feel it live, because I also get the occasional negative comment, not about my video but about the topic. And there are people out there enough people out there who just, you know, hit, thank you, that was an email, keep hitting even if someone is down, and who even won't shut up if a person has died. And I can understand how much this hurt Mr. Jacobsen, and he also knew that he was doing a good thing, and he was trying to prevent that other kids, other children, other teenagers would have to go through the same that his son had suffered from. And yet you can only do so much, and there have been new news reports about teenagers who killed themselves because of just the same sentence. I can only repeat it, because they couldn't stand it anymore, because people decided to make their lives so miserable that they didn't see a way out anymore. We had Jamie Rodemeyer in October, who had made a video about It Gets Better, and he was inspiring and inspired. He was in that place, you know, that he saw a perspective for himself, and he wanted to share this, pass this message on, and bring hope to people out there. And then 5 months later, the situation had turned out just as bad as it had been, and this was it. So he took his life. Just a short while later, a 15-year-old Canadian boy who suffered from depression ended his life. He was being bullied just the same. I mean, that depression didn't just fall from the sky. It had a reason. And he was the next one in that terrible line. And if you check out their messages on Tumblr and their tweets and stuff, you will find the reasons why they came to this point. Because bullies keep bullying, and because other people, you know, the bystanders, they keep looking away. They don't offer the support that they could offer. They, for whatever reason, I mean, everyone has to make this choice personally, but for whatever reason, most of the people decide to look away if something like bullying happens. Either they are afraid for their personal health, and they're afraid of getting, you know, beat up, whatever, or they're just too intimidated by the bully, or they are just, well, on that borderline area of being intimidated and starting to be ignorant. Like, I don't know this kid in the first place, so why should I stand up for him or for her? Yeah, and this continues, you know. We have had Ellen DeGeneres, who made her really massively important and massively powerful statements on her show that I used, don't judge me, Ellen, for my video to kind of bring across the message and add my own thoughts, and she did so well, and she said so important things, and people were and are so moved by them, and also inspired, and they leave comments on my video to Ellen. Well, okay, I say thank you, but I'm not Ellen, you know. And they say it's great that there's someone out there who speaks out the truth. Yeah, but if this is it, then we are not in a very good position, because single people, even if they're as famous and as well known and have the massive audience like an Ellen DeGeneres has, they can only speak for themselves. It's one voice, you know, and that one voice is massively important, but it has to find it has to find an echo out there by people responding, you know, taking up the message, and then start acting themselves. This is how it works, and sadly we don't have that effect going on in the amount that we need it. We don't have it going on yet, but I think it can happen. And I know that Mr. Jacobsen had the same opinion, the same belief. This is why he started to do what he did. This is why he and his wife did not give in to their grief, to their terrible sadness about losing their son, you know. They found a way to move on by doing something in the attempt of helping, of making a difference, of changing a situation, be a part of the effort. You know, no one can do it by themselves. Everyone is dependent on support, on other people joining in, joining forces, standing shoulder by shoulder. And yet, I think if you have to deal every day with the fact that you lost your child to violence and to abuse, to this cancer-like phenomenon that we call bullying, you have to live with that every day, and you will have to find things to equal this out. Time is a healer, they say. Well, from my own experience, I can say only so much. There will always be these moments when you're all of a sudden, when you're faced with the full brutality of what happened, and that there's only loss where there used to be a person you loved, a person you raised, a person you cared for, that made you laugh, that made you cry, sometimes made you mad as hell because he would have done something stupid, but well, it's your child, and you lost your child at an untimely age, and for a reason that is all but devastating. It is devastating. So yeah, this news really, it shook me. It hit me hard in a spot that, yeah, it hit me on several levels, and I will not go into all the details here. One relation, of course, is there, that although I have not been related or whatsoever to Cal, his death back in 2009 almost cost me my life, speaking frankly here. And had I not started to make this channel Calvin Won't Cry Too, I wouldn't be sitting here and talking to my camera, and by that talking to you. This channel has been my lifeline, and I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't create this channel saying that I need to, yeah, okay, light again. I didn't create this channel with a real purpose. It was an act of desperation. It was like you are swimming in the ice cold sea and your ship has sunk, and you are doomed, and you will only live for a short while still, and then it's over. And I started to make this channel, and somehow this was one step that I needed to carry on. Everyone out there who isn't familiar with what happened back in 2009, please watch the video Beyond the Window. Oh my god, German coming through. Beyond the Window. Read the description box. If you have any more questions, feel free to send me a message, and whatever question I can answer, by knowledge, or am at liberty to answer, I will. Cal did not take his own life, so the situation is a little bit different here. But what happened was just as terrible and brutal, and I have no word for it. And although I didn't, as I said, I wasn't related to him whatsoever, we had known each other only for a few weeks, yet there was a bond, and all of a sudden everything had ended. And now, you know, seeing this father, Mr. Jacobsen, dealing with the death of his child, a boy who he had been raising together with his wife for 14 years, and who he was proud of, and who he loved, and who deserved every chance in life, because Cameron was a good kid. You should actually visit the website. These are tricky ones for me. Link in the description box, and check around a little bit. It's worth your while, believe me. Cameron isn't there anymore. His 1 year death anniversary coming up, and dealing with that, realizing that it has been a full year now, and that the situation doesn't change, but you go into the second year of grieving for your child, and after the second year will come the third year, and this will go on for the rest of your life, and you will miss your child. This is a terrible, terrible perspective, and you have to do all you can to not lose the fight against this grief. And Mr. Jacobsen, I don't want to say he lost his fight, because I don't know that, and yet it was too much, and he ended his life, and you can say he is together with his son again now, and in one way or another this is certainly true. And yet you stand there as an outsider, even as an outsider, and if you have a heart in your chest and not just a stone, you start asking yourself questions, and you start feeling things that, if you think through what happened, feelings that weren't there before. You start putting yourself fictitiously into that position, or not so fictitiously, and you start feeling to a certain amount what this man may have felt. You're only starting to do so, and yet it's terrible enough already. Why I made this video is, on one side, that I actually kind of needed to talk about this, and please forgive me if I got distracted and whatever, because I did not write anything down or made a concept, and I have, again, no idea how long this video is gonna be. I'm gonna upload it. As you may know, I have been active in campaigning, writing, making videos on the topic of bullying for quite a while now. 2009 was the year that got me started. and I am supporting several several websites and projects. One of them is, you may have seen this before, this bracelet, arm, wristband, whatever you want to call it. It's from the organization Jaylen's Challenge. Jaylen Arnold is an 11-year-old boy from Florida who suffers from Tourette's and has been bullied for that on public schools where he went to, and he was so devastated and so sad and so hurt by this that he decided to start an organization, actually start to educate people about Tourette's, that this is nothing that you want to make fun of, because it just isn't, and about bullying, how terrible it is. He does a tremendously good job. He has been on national TV. He has been speaking on schools, on events. He has been active in walks for Tourette's, raising funds for Tourette research. He teamed up with Hollywood actor Dash Myhawk. He does great things, and he's 11 years old. I have to say, I'm not 11 years old anymore, and I try to do my thing too, but I really admire what Jaylen does, and I'm proud to wear this armband, wristband. Sorry for stumbling with the words. I'm living in Germany, and basically no one knows these colors and knows Jaylen's organization. But whenever I have the possibility, I tell someone about them. I'm not running around like Don Quixote and trying to fight windmills here. But if someone asks, then I'll say what this wristband is about. And these people, even if they don't speak English, I tell them in German, they listen, and they are kind of like, wow, really impressed and really touched by this. So Jaylen's Challenge website, YouTube channel, Facebook page, all links down in the description bar. Check his site out. Maybe if you can and if you want to get involved, there is a forum where you can discuss topics, bullying related, Tourette's related, whatever. You have the possibility to invite Jaylen to your school if you're living in America. Well, also if you're living in England or Germany, who knows, to hold a speech, and you will be stunned what he has to say. Go check it out. It's worth it. The second page that I wanna talk about here, just for a short while, is a website and a campaign that the mother of an 11-year-old boy founded, Miss Sirdeaner Walker. I hope I pronounced this name correctly. Let me check it out again. Sirdeaner Walker, right. She's the mother of 11-year-old Carl Joseph Hoover Walker, who killed himself in 2009 at the age of 11 for being bullied at school with kids saying that he was gay. No one actually knows if Carl was gay. He was 11, and at 11 it isn't really a topic for most kids. I cannot speak for Carl because I never met him and I couldn't ask him, and so I will not pass judgment. But other kids felt confident enough to do so and to hit on him for that. And he took it as long as he could, and then he couldn't anymore, and he killed himself. You can find a little bit more about Carl in my video When the Chain of Bullying Continues, and he is also mentioned in the video It Is Okay to Be Gay, Stop Bullying Now. This is the video that I talked about where I kinda team up with Ellen DeGeneres, and yeah, that sounds, I'm sorry, I take this back, scratch that. Where I watch the video and you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, you can find information about Carl there, and I also wrote a blog. The links to these things are always in the description box, so who actually ventures on watching one of my videos will always find a link or 2 or 300 to check out with additional